it's great to be here. Obviously, of course, because of Ish and HSBC and hear about your journey today. I'm very excited about that. But I will say before we get started, because we're going to talk about AI. Let's just be honest about that. I did actually ask ChatGPT, how can I make this a really great fireside chat? And I'm going to be with Ish. We're going to be at API Summit. And it told me, ask each questions and just agree to what he says. So that's going to be my strategy. I hope that works.
It's perfect.
Perfect. All right. Are you ready, Ish?
Yep, let's go.
Let's get going. We all know HSBC, I think, at the end of the day, but it's good to start there. Let's start with the big picture. Can you give the audience here kind of what are we talking about in terms of scale? How many developers, how many markets, how many APIs?
Yeah. We operate globally, right? We are a global bank, and we operate globally, and we operate across 57 markets with around 41 million customers, right? And I'm talking about external customers, and we do have quite a lot of internal customers as well. And several thousands of developers developing APIs for critical business functions that we have, for various lines of businesses within HSBC. So, as with any global banking, personal banking, business banking, private banking, investment banking, and then a lot of internal applications as well, to manage risk, finance, HR, et cetera, et cetera. So every single one of these business units, they all are in the API journey, right? Because that's the nature of scale that we deal with. And it's a regulated industry. So obviously, delivering these APIs at pace, at scale, complying to all the control requirements and the regulatory landscape is what the day in the life is like in HSBC.
That's some scale. That's not easy to do, specifically with the regulatory things that you have as well, kind of boxing that in.
Yep.
But and you've been with the bank for a long time, so
yep.
You've seen this whole transformation. What was the catalyst that made you realize that HSBC needed to take a fundamentally different approach to APIs and API management?
Yeah, I think like how we are in a revolutionary time now with AI, a few years back, if you all rewind the clock, microservices was the thing.
Yeah.
So there is an exponential growth in digital services. Obviously, all of them, being developed in the form of microservices, and they all needed to be fronted with the APIs. So API development was happening across the board, several areas, right? Several thousands of APIs being developed across these various markets and business units as well. So there was a strong need to make sure these APIs are developed according to our standards and providing the value that it provides to the customers in a faster pace. So we had to do something about managing these APIs at scale in a more consistent, reliable way. And there came the idea of transforming and what led to today.
Yeah, no, it's quite the journey you've been on and still are on for the next couple of years. But this is fun because before we walked up to stage, actually, and I will take this with me because Ish talked about, as a leader in the bank, you're quite passionate about coding and you're quite passionate about development at the end and developers. So how have you enabled the developer community within HSBC, and what does that actually look like now in practice? And again, I'm going to throw a couple of more things here, but can you give us some examples how this platform that you're running and have changed the day of the life for a developer?
Yeah, so I think we started with a principle called make it easy, right? Make IT easy. So that means we got to provide a platform that's easy to develop, easy to scale, easy to trust, easy to secure. You can add many other layers of easy to, right? That's what the foundational principles were around this, right? So offering developers a least barrier to entry, right, to the platform is a foundational thing for us.
Yeah.
So providing self-service capabilities that enable the developers to get onboarded themselves very easily, and providing capabilities that takes the cognitive load away from them and focus on business things that they need to focus on was kind of like a primary motto, right? And with that visionary in mind,
yeah.
we started building the capabilities, into the platform, that provides kind of like the superior developer experience that enable them to focus more on innovating the business needs that they need, or innovating, the business priorities, and work with the business to kind of get that done. Yeah.
A software company with a banking license.
That's right.
Well, you say easy in front of all those things, but it's not easy to do. So you have quite a great team there. You mentioned this before, and I can imagine being a global bank of your scale, tier 0 bank, one of the biggest ones. How do you balance then the need for standardization across the bank, which I know needs to be there, but still giving your developers flexibility to innovate?
Yeah, I think it's about making the developer life easy, not necessarily taking things away from them, right? So that means providing the capabilities that the developer would require to make, to take away the cognitive load, like I said, right? There is quite a lot of control capabilities that needs to be embedded in as the software gets developed.
Yep.
So if we provide capabilities that make that journey easier, obviously that enable them to focus more on their bit. Now, this is where Kong was really helpful, because Kong is an open platform, right? It
yeah.
provides that open development capabilities, for anybody, let's say, who wants to develop in Java Spring Boot. We are not getting in there to say, don't do it, we are going to standardize it. So we let the developers develop it.
Yeah.
It's just that when it comes to the standards and controls, rather than every single developer worrying about building that capability within their respective code bases, we offer that capability centrally so that it makes their life much more easier.
Kong tends to be liked by the developer community.
Indeed.
Yeah. So what's been one of the most surprising outcomes now that you focused so relentlessly on developer experience? What's something you can share here that you didn't expect when you started this journey?
I think the speed of innovation, right? We didn't expect to this level, right? Because I think every time when a development need to happen in the past, there is a lot of worry about how am I going to meet the control requirements for getting my code onto production, my APIs onto production. When we make that path much more easier, we were surprised with the pace of innovation, and very strong collaboration with the Kong team as well as a part of the journey.
Yep.
Like 10 plus capabilities that our developer community came forward and said would be great if you had this in the platform, right?
Yep.
And of course, the partnership helped there, right? Because was able to make that happen, being part of that community, and that's what I liked about this whole journey as well, which is developers requesting for capabilities that would be great to have it as a part of platform, and then with strong partnership with Kong, able to deliver that capabilities at the platform side, making their life easier, which in a way speeds up the innovation.
Love that. It's almost like the next question, because you talk about partnerships, which is where we're heading next. So let's pivot into the partnership. We spoke about now kind of where you are and your developer experience and kind of the path you've been on in a little bit. Let's pivot to the partnership. So how do you feel that this partnership together with us have evolved, let's say, beyond just technology? And if you're kind of doubling down on that, what does HSBC feel a strategic partnership should be when you look at people that you work with, the companies that you work with?
Yeah, I think certainly the partnership has evolved much beyond technology, right? I'm going to quote one example. We onboarded a program of work this year around operational resiliency, and we had very strong partnership with your engineering team, Sergeant team, and some of the findings or some of the outcomes that came off from that program is now being adopted as a role model for vendor management across other areas. Right. So certainly, right, started off as a technology thing and then gone beyond technology. Now, Carl, you've been part of our investor summit, right? So we look at Kong truly as a strategic partner, rather than just somebody who supplies us some software, right? So I think having that sort of a strategic relationship, right, and shared vision and shared goals for the teams is kind of like it changes things in a scaled fashion, right? And it's very transformative, I would say, because it's can have a very clear discussion around here is what the bank is focusing on from a priority standpoint, and then it takes us towards the next step in terms of collaboration and things of that nature. So it's an outstanding partnership.
And you do put up a really good event, I have to say, in Hong Kong. It's a great one. Yeah, I'm going back to the next one that's coming as well. So it's a great event.
Yeah, good to have you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us for sure. So every partnership has ups and downs. I think that's what makes a partnership strong. Not everything is going to be great all the time, but it's how you kind of go through those things that makes the partnership strong. Can you share any specific moment where you felt that this partnership really proved its value to you and your teams?
Yeah, I think a lot of examples that I can quote, right? One specific moment I'm going to quote is our evergreening journey, right? I think every time when we do a software upgrade, the tenants of the platform will need to go through a process, right? To kind of adapt to the new version and things of that nature, right? And we had, given the scale of what we had to do globally, and the number of custom plugins and such that we had developed within the bank, we had to do some work, right? With Kong to simplify that evergreening cycle. And I think I'm proud to say that we are almost there in terms of completing that evergreening journey. So hopefully by the end of November, we should be fully done with the evergreening. Again, a great partnership, right? And a great set of capabilities that were developed during that work that would help with future evergreening and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I know we want to standardize as much as possible, but some plugins we are building together as well, for sure. All right.
So I know from a partnership standpoint, Carl, what does it look like from your standpoint, right? From your perspective, what does a partnership look like? And of course, like I said, you've been to our summits and such, so you know a bit of HSBC as well. So I'm keen in knowing from your perspective what it looks like.
Well, first of all, we've been on this journey for 5 years now almost, and hopefully for many more years to come.
Yep.
Yeah, good. And it's been great because not only are we delivering software and technology to you, but you've actually also pushed us. So in a good way, right? And it's tough as to take on an HSBC in the early days, so 5 years ago, right? Kong is a very different company today than we were 5 years ago. But a lot of that we've done and managed to do has also to do with the thanks of HSBC, because you've really been pushing us, saying we need this, we need this, we need this, this is how it needs to look like, and also helping us get there. So you've been a real partner to us from the get-go, not in terms of demanding things, but actually helping us get there. And I think that's a key point as a partnership. And the other aspect of that with HSBC as a general, kind of company to work with, because anybody can buy technology, right? And you may or may not get the value from that technology, but you need to map out people, process, and technology to, I think, really make a transformation work. And I am actually extremely impressed what I'm seeing within HSBC, because we know that usually in developers and kind of where people to make things happen are on board and want to make it happen, but it's very few times that it's fully connected up to leadership, and that comes down to a lot of what you're doing, Ish, as a leader in the bank. But but also what Stuart Riley is doing. He wasn't there when we entered the relationship 5 years ago, but he's come on into the bank, and I think your perspective on not just, and this goes to you as well, Ish, because I know you share this, not just run the bank, but actually change the bank.
Right.
And also that you put Stuart with your CEO, directly reporting up to him. And I think even Stuart talks about coding.
That's
actually, right. So, you know, I think that makes HSBC a fantastic partner to us, because you really map out the developer community to the leadership, have a joint vision where you want to take the bank. And as Stuart said once, and you've said as well, everything starts with an API.
Yep.
So you're a perfect partner to us, I would say.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that partnership is of value to you as well.
Oh, 100%. And we're going to keep going. And we just said, yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk a little about the future. We look back, we spoke about the partnership, but there is a future, right? So where do you see the platform strategy heading next, and kind of what capabilities are you most excited to unlock for the bank?
Right. So I think I'm going to use the famous word AI. Right?
We're there now, AI.
Yeah. So I think there is a limitless art of possibilities, I would say, right, with the revolutionary world that we are in with AI. But having the foundational capabilities around API, right, is crucial and inevitable, you know, for being to be successful in the AI journey, right? So you know, for us, obviously, you know, big time into standardization of APIs, inventorying, cataloging, all kind of stuff, right, that are foundational for AI. So that's going to continue. And then you know, we are going to be you know, wanting to try and leverage AI in our own platform management to begin with, right? Rather than advising to the entire world how to use AI, wanted to kind of taste our own wine first, right? In terms of trying that you know, AI strategy in our own platform management, maybe an autonomous type platform management. I may be daydreaming, but I don't think it is way far from reality, right, in terms of making that happen. So that's kind of where we wanted to head next from a platform standpoint, right? Leverage the strength of AI to manage the platform and, you know, make it much more easier, you know, and friendlier for the developers.
Love that. Did you see Kai before?
Yep.
It's possible.
Yep.
So, you know, we have a lot of great customers and companies here today, and you're obviously one of the big ones. So what advice would you give to other large complex organizations when they start thinking about these things? Because as you said at the beginning, it's not, you know, it's easy. The results needs to be easy, but it's not easy to get there. And you have compliance, you have, you know, corporate, you have a lot of things that you have to adhere to.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for others? How to?
Yeah, I mean, most of the organizations, I'm sure, are thinking about governance, right? So besides the governance and standards, I would strongly advocate focusing on developer experience and making the life of developers easy. Like I said earlier, like, you know, making things easy.
Yeah.
And I would also suggest, you know, building strategic partnership with vendors, right? And take their advice, and then, you know, adjust as you go along. And basically fostering the continuous improvement culture, right, is foundational, right? That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I like that. You heard it here first. Partner with your vendors.
That's good marketing.
All right.
So, question to you, right? Like HSBC, you work with you know, many other institutions, right? What do you see you know, in the market, and, you know, keen to get your views?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. I mean, obviously, we're very fortunate and thankful to be able to work with, I would say, the majority of the financial institutions out there in the market today, because they all have a API-driven approach, and you know, they, you know, thankfully so, they've landed on Kong. But I think two main trends I'm seeing right now. The first one is kind of a platform unification. I think almost every company out there, or at least every CIO and CTO that I talk to and meet with, are moving from a fragmented system into more of a standardization with API and services architecture to drive two things. One, which is a cost consolidation, which is happening now everywhere, I believe, but also able to innovate faster. Because if you have all these different tools that you're buying for every different purpose, it's kind of not working anymore. You now need a joint platform that will give you a faster way to market, because I think you have one way of looking at it. And then also a security umbrella around that. You spoke about security, and it is important, right? Because if you have all your data in motion, you know, all your AI traffic, all your API traffic, all your mesh within microservices traffic, all your event traffic, basically the innovation fabric of a bank or an institution, you know, you want to kind of have that secured under one umbrella. And I'm starting to see CIOs, CTOs talk about that a lot. And secondly, and this is back to what you talked about before, and you know, we cannot not talk about it, which is AI. It's specifically, I think, AI enablement through APIs. And actually, I'll say that, and you know, I don't know if he likes that I call him this, but Augusto, our founder, or co-founder and CEO, he actually coined the phrase, "There is no AI without APIs." I call him the corporate world influencer, because this thing actually took off, and I've seen other companies try and steal this phrase and use it for themselves, but you heard it here first, don't forget about that. So I'm pretty sure something Agi said in his keynote or today will be caught up out there. So as I said, you heard it here first, don't forget about that. But I think every bank now sees, and you can validate this with me as well, where, you know, APIs to be that connective tissue between core systems, trusted data, and the AI models that they want to go and deploy. And even now, I'm seeing some of them actually build personalized AI assistants for each of their employees. I mean, imagine a world where you are on the investment side of HSBC, you're going to go and meet with the next big tech company that's, you know, going to potentially IPO. You're getting prepped from, you know, this is where your meeting is, these are the founders you're meeting with, this is an addressable market, this is the problems they're solving, here's how the bank will fit into their vision. This is, you know, maybe as a customer or maybe even as to be part of an IPO or something similar, or invest in that company. This is the problems they're solving, and this is how. You get fully prepped with where you need to go in that meeting. Now, that's not unique because you get prepped by humans before, right? The uniqueness is that you get it in an unprecedented speed and to thousands of employees, right? Everybody gets to do that in every type of use case to what you do. And I think that's coming as well down the line. And to do that, you know, you need to be ready for that and have the underlying technology to do so. So those will be probably the two main things I'm seeing today in almost every conversation with any bank or financial institution out there. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, it absolutely resonates. Yeah, we are not way too far, so which is good to know.
You're ahead of the game for sure. I would say so. But it's good that it resonates. Yeah. So, kind of final thing before we wrap up or wrapping up here, if you can, and this is a hard one, I know that, because there's a lot of metrics to capture, but if you could pick kind of one metric or outcome that best demonstrates the success of this approach, what would that be?
Right. One metric, I'd say time to market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think as a bank, we wanted to get the digital experiences in the hands of our customers as quick, as secure as possible, right? So if we are able to innovate faster, right, that means if we make the life of our developers easier, right, with all the cognitive load stuff that I talked about, then, you know, we get the digital experiences in the hands of our customers faster. And obviously, you know, being a bank, we wanted to provide those capabilities, you know, so that they can trust the bank, as well as make their financial, life, easier, simpler, better, right? So that's what one metric I would focus on.
I love that as a partner, but I'm also a customer. I am using HSBC on a personal side, so I love that.
That's great.
All right, I think we're coming to the end of this, but before we do, I really wanted to thank you, Ish, for taking the time and being with us today and sharing the story of HSBC and your transformation and where you're going. It sounds like, to sum it up, developer experience matters a lot, and it's going to get you kind of where you need to be faster. So it's an important topic to focus on within kind of each of these companies.
Yep. Thank you for inviting me as well.
Thank you so much, each. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.